What's involved in mastering self? What are the steps that you would take them on to get them back to the passion needle being really strong, to them falling back in love with their business? What does that pathway look like?
That's a really good question.
Do you ever spend time with your clients getting them to not only think about where they want to get to, but enjoying the journey, the opportunities, the challenges along the way towards the attainment of those goals?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge part of it. So if you want to live life to the fullest, you got to be ready to pay the price. And that is not doing what everyone else is doing.
Do you think you've got mastery over self?
Oof.
If there was one final piece of advice that you wanted to leave people thinking about, what would it be? Welcome to episode 9 of The Life of a Business Leader. Boy, am I looking forward to this one today. I am joined by Mike Radoor. Mike, welcome to The Life of a Business Leader. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Royston. Thank you.
Mike, we'll do more about intros because your background is fascinating. I'm sure listeners are going to want to hear about your backstory, but the title really intrigued me for today's podcast, which is Why Mastering Yourself is Good Business. So bearing in mind the title for the podcast is The Life of a Business Leader, what sparked you? Because you instantly went to this title when we talked about what we could talk about.
Yeah, that's a $1 million question, and what a great intro. So I'll give you a quick understanding of why I believe that, because when we as business leaders or just parents or normal human beings, if we want to change something in our life, maybe we want to change our team, maybe we want to change our revenue, we want to change whatever it is, then I see and I find people focusing so desperately on changing the end result. So that's what they're looking at that. All right, we need more revenue, or we need a more dynamic team, or we need more harmony in the family, whatever that could be. We're focusing on the end result, but we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, well, what is it that creates the end result? What is that? And no doubt, it's the actions we take, right? The actions we take, the actions I take. And then the next question I really believe we need to ask ourselves is that what is it that creates our actions? Or at least what is it our action is highly and continuously motivated by? Our self-image. It's completely motivated by how we see ourselves, how we understand ourselves, what we are capable of, what we're not capable of. So our end result, instead of focusing on the end result being changed, we need to focus on who we are and the being of us. Because you are, let's say, it doesn't matter if you're a business leader for 10 companies, 1 company, or what it is, you are the leader of you. So your hands and your mouth and your thoughts, that is all about you. So when you master that, you will master your end results.
I knew you and I were going to connect when we first had just our briefing conversation about today, because I use an expression all the time, Mike, that businesses don't grow on their own, leaders grow businesses, which I think dovetails really well with your whole why mastering yourself is good business. So let me put you on the spot. In terms of how many people do you think are actually prepared to look in their mirror, be challenging of self, and do the inner work that's needed in order to really master self? I'm really intrigued in your thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's another great question. So I've been coaching quite a few people. I think I've been coaching around 5,000 people for the last 5 years, and then you start to see a trend. And of course, you'll see a trend of commitment. You'll see a trend of, agility in form of change. But I believe you really will first change where the pain of being where you are is much bigger than the pain you have to go through to process the change. And that's a little sad news, right? So many people have to hit the rock bottom, or have to go into a negative EBITDA, or have to end up in a huge discussion before we feel a change is needed. Which is also why I believe that feedback is so important, constant feedback, both to yourself, to your team, and everywhere you are. So again, people, how often or how quickly do they want to change? I think it depends on the questions you ask yourself on a continuous basis. And those questions have to be quality questions.
So do you tend to cross paths with people when they are in pain and they've hit that rock bottom? or can you get to them quicker, and almost can you create a false environment where you can almost create the consequence of pain, but without them having to actually hit rock bottom?
Yeah, of course, they don't have to hit the rock bottom, but they might have an area in their life that is irritating them or is frustrating them, or they hit a plateau, or, their ambitions are so high, but, their actions doesn't follow through. That is also a point where they want to change. But what I really see as a trend is people with a growth mindset, they're constantly willing to change. People who has this philosophy, life philosophy of I'm a student of life. I'm a student of life. They are always willing to change, and they are always going to buy new books. They're always going to buy a new mentor, and they are just engaged in the potential there is in change. And then you have people who they simply don't know that they don't know. They are unconscious incompetent. They don't know that for them it's hard to change because they don't know change is possible.
Yeah, and so you've got three buckets there. You've got people who have naturally got a growth mindset and have just got an insatiable thirst for learning. There are people who hit absolute rock bottom and they're experiencing so much pain that they're looking for a solution because they're at rock bottom. And then you've got the people who don't know that they actually need help. Totally get that. When you think about the people that you've coached or worked with over the last kind of 3, 4, 5 years, which bucket do you tend to find you cross paths with most people through, or is it completely mixed?
Well, it depends on what. So I have online programs. That's a different kind of attraction that comes there, because that's where we really try to push and pull them in. But people who comes to me one on one, where my reputation has luckily gone well in word of mouth, well, they come to me where they wanna accelerate. So they don't need. They're fine where they are. They're fine, but their ambitions level, they want to reach the next level, the next level. So they typical come to me just because they're curious of, hey, Mike, dude, is there anything else we can do? So they're not in pain, but they're just in a curiosity. But when it comes to my online programs, it's typical people that are in pain in some area of their life, or at least I say something on that ad, which makes them realize, wow, oh my God, I never thought about that. And then they contact me. So it differs. It definitely does.
So I think what would be really useful is, can you just give people a frame in terms of who is Mike Radoor? What's your track record? Because I would definitely put you in the bucket of a serial entrepreneur, and I want to talk more about that later. But can you just give kind of a précis in terms of your background? Because for me, you've been there, done it, got the t-shirt, you've built businesses, you've sold them for a fortune. So you are a practitioner who comes at things from the real world perspective. So I think it'd just be really useful if you can share some of your backstory.
Yeah, absolutely, Royston. Well, it's a long story, very short. 2009 was the year where I entered the entrepreneurial world with my first company, which is called Minto.com, which is one of the world's largest online market fashion places. And today, Minto is like a 450 million euro revenue company every single year, heavily backed by big investors. So I started there, and I was there for 7 years until I got burned out, literally. I burned out in my own baby, and that was the biggest decision of my life, was to quit that company, because I simply were not feeling good. I was burned out. I was anxious. I had stress, and that was due to a lot of traveling and no good relationships. Like, if you're traveling all the time, you constantly have pressure on yourself, and you have a big loan in the bank because of a dilution process, and you don't know. I was in so many unknowns, so I quit in Minto without having sold my shares. But it took me 3 months, Royston. Then I traveled to New York. I lived in New York doing the expansion of Minto. And over there, I met a great fella called, wow, now I had a blackout. Jeff Crahill, sorry. Jeff Crahill, which is my co-founding partner in Playbook App. And I went to New York, and I had this crazy idea, and I couldn't sit still, and said, hey, why don't we create some kind of a Netflix model on fitness influencers so they can monetize on their followings without selling PDFs? And he said, that's a good idea. So we created Playbook App. And today, Playbook App has been rated as the best men's fitness app in 2 years in a row, and they're doing really well. So I did that. But I was only there for 6 months, and then I felt, shit, Mike, you haven't sorted out your mental issues here. And New York, Manhattan, another startup. I don't think it's a good idea when you are under pressure. So I seek towards where I had my longest roots, which was actually in Sweden, because I got a lot of new friends there. So I went back to Sweden, and in Sweden I met my good friend Eric, and I said, Eric, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do, but one thing for sure is that I'm not going to have an ordinary job. I'm simply too demanding for that. He said, oh, I have a little business here, Mike. Okay, what is that? I have no idea what it was. But he introduced me for some kind of an online marketplace for media advertisement, and I didn't understand the word, but I believed in Eric. And at that time, I believed in him. And what Ocast was, every time you go in on traditional media, let's say you want to market yourself in a newspaper, or you want to do ads on web pages, or you want to do retargeting, or you want to do programmatic, or you want to do radio commercials. There wasn't a platform that could really collect all of the media outlets in one country where you could search for it and bid on it. So I thought that was a good idea, because it was all PDFs. You go in on a big newspaper's website and you go for advertisement, and you get a PDF that is like 100 pages long, is outdated, the salesperson is not there. So we kind of went into that business, and within 4 years we had 400 customers in 12 countries. So what happened there was, again, there was my journey, Royston. So I always been very passion driven, but at that time I was not passion driven. I was like, I'm in a need driven. So my interest for Ocast kind of fell off, and I, as the CEO at that time, I told Eric that I'm not the right guy for the company. I need to leave because I'm not passion driven. So I left, and I didn't know what to do. And in that time, I have sold my shares in Minto so I could breathe, and I've been taking a lot of, therapy classes. So I was fresher than ever. So I stopped. It took me 3 days, and I suddenly just created an Instagram saying "too busy to be fit." Because I always been very, very much into sports, into healthy lifestyle, both mentally and physically. And I've always seen people saying I'm too busy. So I created an Instagram account called Too Busy to Be Fit. And within 1 year, I created an online coach. Listen, I didn't have any educations in fitness whatsoever. But, I've been managing companies, and, I know a lot about it. But within 1 year, I did a 1.5 million euro revenue online coaching business. And, I knew I couldn't coach people. I just hired people that could coach them. And then I was the brand. So I did that for 2.5 to 3 years, which made me realize that, wow, it's never the diet plan, and I was far away from home because I like business. I like people in a, you can call it in a mental, spiritual level that is in a level where I can really coach them. So I decided to shut that business down, even though it was going well, but I wasn't motivated by the people that I was coaching. They were on a level that I was not born into their mental level where they were. And I decided to use my knowledge of the people I coached there to really coach people in what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing now is I'm writing books about mindset, about limiting beliefs, and how to step up your game and mastering yourself. So I started to build online programs for business leaders and business owners, where I teach them, how to plan, structure yourself up, get your goals right, get your priorities right, but not overcomplicated. And I teach people right now today, which is where I sit today. I teach them that, there's no system. There's no system that will make you rich. Like if there were, all the billionaires in the world will use it. So I'm not giving you any systems. I'm giving you perspective changes. So my programs today and what I'm doing today, I'm giving them a system so they can really set up their goals and get their priorities right and plan their days better and have more time with their family and all these things that they really endure while they still run 200 kilometers per hour without burning out. But really what I'm doing is that I'm giving them a system with a new perspective, and that's what really changes people's life.
Wow. So let's make this really practical for our listeners. Imagine somebody comes to you who is burned out. They've fallen out of love with their business. Their passion needle is moving into the red. They come across you and they think, right, I'm going to get in touch with Mike. What's involved in mastering self? What are the steps that you would take them on to get them back to the passion needle being really strong, to them falling back in love with their business, to waking up every single day with passion and purpose? What does that pathway look like?
That's a really good question. It differs, but there's definitely one way I always use is, first of all, when they come to me, I always, let them talk. Like, tell me, who are you? And why are you here today? And they open up, and maybe this didn't work out and that business didn't work out. They feel a little bit lost and they lost the touch and they don't feel the fire anymore. And I say, all right, let's park that away. So then I asked them, and I create this, it has to be a safe space where they feel they can speak from their heart.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I just asked them, what do you want? And many people can't answer that. Like, what is it that you want? And they go, and here I need to listen very intensively, because words, it's not what I'm listening to. I'm listening to everything they don't say. And in that process, when they talk about what they want, always they come up a lot of limiting beliefs. They want it, but they don't know how to. They don't think they can. But I catch them in that. So I'm the guy who gives them commitment. So the process here is, it's about being. So let's say that you want something in your life, and that could be, maybe you want to have $1 billion business, or maybe you want to have a very, great harmony in your family, or maybe you want to be an athlete, or maybe you want to be an author, or whatever it is you really want to be. I find that what they really want. And then I coach them in who they need to be that person, because that's the important part. Like, who would you need to be a more loving person? Like, who would you need to be a more effective person? Who would you need to be to have more peace in who you are? So I teach them that who you were 5 minutes ago has nothing to do with who you are in the next fucking second. And I give them all these perspective changes, because, Royston, I learned a lot, when you change the way you look at things you look at change. And that's a process I take them through with a lot of self-awareness, So I let them become closer to who they actually are. But who they are is just a story they told themselves. So this is about creating. So I don't care who you are. I want to know who you want to be in the next second and in that situation. And what about in that situation? Because when you come home to your family, let's say you've been busy at work, it's been 4 months, and EBITDA is just looking terrible, and the team is stressed, and you're stressed. Who you are, who you're going to be when you're walking through that door. You're not going to be this stressed business leader. You're not going to be this. So you need to take a decision. Okay, I opened this door. Who am I going to be the most loving father when I enter this door? And you need to enter that mental space and take a decision and commit to be it. And there's a magic transition there. And this is all about belief systems and personal narratives, right?
But I've got it. So the starting point is really being really crystal clear about what your end game is, who you want to be and who you want to become. Because I would imagine when people cross paths with you that they're so bogged down in the minutiae and they can't get any perspective. So what you help them to do is open up, get perspective, get out of their heads of where they are today, and almost visit the future, a try before they buy, in terms of almost visualizing that envisioning of who they, if they had utopia, how would they think, feel, and act, and who would they be?
Exactly. And it all comes down to commitment. Commitment works like a black hole. Commitment is heavier than gravity. When you are committed, the things you are committed to will just be drawn to you. So it all comes down to commitment. So what I specialized in, what I'm blessed in, some gifts I've gotten from who knows where, is to really make people committed. And also, let's say I do a one-on-one session. I'm a little special guy. First of all, I'm really pricey. I'm really expensive. And I do that because I need commitment. And second of all, I never do any online conversations. Never. You got to travel to where I am. I don't care if you sit in Houston, Texas, or if you sit in Canada, or if you sit in wherever you sit. You fly to Spain, you come to my office, and I have this little secret, not where I'm sitting now, I have this little sacred room. And that commitment, if I can get that commitment just from day one, from start, now you're ready. Now you're ready. Because when you commit yourself, for example, Royston, I took a decision. I got a newborn daughter 9 months ago, and I really had to think about who am I going to be for this little beautiful diamond born into this world. Well, I decided I am the best father in the world. I am the best idol for her in the world. And that, I committed to fully. That means nobody can rock my boat. So if she calls, I'm there. And if she needs something, I'm there. And nothing else is more important besides I have my other commitments, but you need to line them up so they fit in of your new being, if that makes sense.
No, it makes absolute perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. And what I'm hearing is, and I'm really intrigued by this next question I'm going to ask you. So you can do the envisioning bit about who you want to be. you can then test people's commitments by how committed are you to get in the arena and how committed are you to absolutely turn that into reality. What my question for you is, once you've got that locked in your mind and the commitments in play, what part in your mind does synchronicity play? That when you start on a pathway or on a trajectory, are you a believer in that the world moves for you as well and synchronicity plays its part? Because I'm kind of hearing some
Absolutely.
things in there that I'm really intrigued about where that sits in your kind of thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So first of all, we all are a result of our most dominant thoughts. That has been knowledge since the Bible was written. To be honest, we just haven't been getting that information, and especially since the 1900, when the New Thought movement came across, they all said, "You are what you think. You are what you think." All the really big gurus from Asia. You are what you think. But none of us in the West, we believe in that. We want to have science on everything and boxes and this and this and that. But in the end, you can tell yourself who you want to be. But if you have underlying thoughts that doesn't match your new being, you're always going to fall back on that. So what I mean here is, so let's say I want to change my being. I need to be very self-aware. I'll give you a good example. And I still work with myself. I have to do that the rest of my life. Yesterday, listen, I don't need money in my life. I don't need it. Of course, it depends on my level of spending. But where I am right now, I don't need money. I can live for the rest of my life and I'll be fine. But still, I'm sitting there, I'm looking into this food ordering app, and it's like 45 euros to get a home delivery. And there's a thought coming up in my mind. You should save that, Mike. You shouldn't order that. You should do your food yourself. And it comes from when I was a kid, when we didn't have much money, and we always had to save every single dime we had. And if I don't catch myself in that, I will still be my old being, and I'm not committed to the new one. So I have to interrupt that pattern and say, I am whatever I'm saying I am. And you need to practice that every single day. You need to override your old programming. So I also believe in synchronicity. I also believe in the law of attraction. I also believe in, David R. Hawkins' map of consciousness. I believe the emotions we have sends out frequencies, and there's enough evidence to literally say, well, you can't go wrong. Just look at Bruce Lipton, look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, look at Dawson Church, look at all these guys coming, all these beautiful examples. So I'm very aware of my emotional state in almost everything I do. And awareness is a key in this. Most of us, we are not aware. We wake up. We think the same things about our life the same way we did yesterday. We think about ourselves and our problems in our life the same way we did yesterday. We take the same road to the office. We say hi to the colleagues the same way. We look at our calendar the same way as yesterday. And this is what I figured, Royston. The same thoughts will lead us to the same decisions. And the same decisions, that will lead us to the same behavior. And the same behavior will lead us to the same results or experiences, which will lead us to the same emotions, which would give us the same thoughts. Now we're just going in a circle. So I have to incorporate somewhere in my day, preferably in the morning, to wake up and decide what I want to think. Because one new thought, just one new thought, Royston, one new thought will give you one new decision. And that's a lavine. That's like, it can turn around your life. Just one new thought can give you a new result and a new emotion. And, success, or whatever you call it, or the end goal, it's not something you chase. You simply attract it by becoming the person that is in the same, you could call it, metaphysical, in the same frequency of that. So I teach people really to decide their being, really.
Yeah. And Mike, another intriguing question. You're really sparking me here too. And I deliberately want to put you on the spot because I know you're going to have some really compelling answers to this. And whatever I do on the Life of the Business Leader, I want people to go away with real golden nuggets that they can take away and apply. So my next question for you is this, that if you are so focused on the end game, that the actual attainment of goals can be fleeting moments in time, but where you spend most of your time is on the journey and the pathway towards those goals. So do you ever spend time with your clients getting them to not only think about where they want to get to, but enjoying the journey, the opportunities, the challenges along the way towards the attainment of those goals?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge part of it. And that is about acceptance, because we people, we have an ego, right? And our ego has ambitions, and our ego is never satisfied. Never. You reach one goal, anticlimax. You reach another goal, anticlimax. You reach a third goal, anticlimax. So what I really practice very heavily with people I work with is to just really understand being in the now, and that's very, very difficult. Being in the now and enjoy and embrace every single experience you get, because life is experiences. Emotions are experiences. Last week I had a client, and that client came into the office, and she was, she's a high C-level managing director in a company in Sweden, in a tech company, and she was feeling terrible, and she didn't like feeling terrible. And the first thing we did, I said to her, let's be silent. Let's be silent. Let's be silent for the next, who knows, 5, 10, 20 minutes. And let's sit with that feeling, accept that feeling, feel that feeling. Don't go with it. Don't overanalyze it, because what we do when we get a sad feeling, our brain immediately goes in and say, oh, well, there's a feedback. Let's see all the terrible things I can think of. So I teach people to be with what is and accept it. And in the moment they learn that, they let it all go. And that's what you need. You need to neutralize yourself to enter the next level of being.
And Mike, what do you do if you've got conflicting priorities? So on one hand, you might be really successful and grown another business like you have done and building a phenomenal business. But then you are married and you have a young child, and suddenly you want to be the best father, and that's a commitment goal that you have. But then on the right hand, you want to build the best business that you can build. How do you manage conflicting tensions and priorities? Because I know for so many people, that's the challenge. They're trying to spin so many plates and they want to be successful in all areas, but something's got to give somewhere. How do you cope in that scenario?
So I believe, we all programmed to believe there's some kind of set and rules and frameworks on how things should be. Like, for example, indirectly, you're telling me you can be successful and be the world's greatest father. Well, who said that? Who has ever said that? I know a lot of people who has 4 kids who is the most exceptional fathers, and they have the most exceptional businesses. So it all comes down to expectation management with your family. They need to speak with you, and you need to speak with them. And if there is no goals, you need to sort it with your team. So, for example, one of my very good friends, he's a big fitness entrepreneur living down here in Marbella. He's been building some of the biggest gym clubs in Denmark, and also is an owner of some scalable, great fitness online coaching softwares. And, what he did was when he entered into this business, he said, listen, I'm not going to be a full-time guy in the office. So I need to structure off my office hours in a way where I have time with my family, because I am the best father in the world. Right. So what he did was he just built a culture around it. So fix it. That's what I'm telling them. Fix it. And if there's any conflicts, well, you're not fixing it. Are you committed or you're not committed? And that's what I mean. So, of course, if you are not an owner and you are a business leader who is hired by the company, it will be harder. It will be more difficult to suddenly create your own way of working. But still, if you are having any conflict of who you are as a being, you might not be in the right place. And that's what I mean. So maybe you want to be a very successful business leader, and you want to be a very successful father, and you want to be a very successful author. Well, maybe business leader is not a place you can be if you are under a framework that you need to be at work from, what do I know, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and you want to be a successful business leader. Maybe that's not possible. Maybe you need to find a place or talk with the leaders to negotiate that the framework works. And that's what I really believe in. And I've done that. And now I've been a business owner, so it doesn't count, because I haven't actually been hired by another company where I was, due to go to work at that time and go home at that time. But in the end, if the conflict comes, you need to discover within yourself if you are the right place. Is this the playground that you can play these commitments? And if it's not, search for them. There's always a solution. I have many, 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 many people that I know closely who is not entrepreneurs, who are business leaders hired by a great corporation, where they have gone to the leadership and the top leadership, and they have changed the way the organization demands the people to be at work. So they have made the organizations more flexible, which is beautiful.
So what I'm hearing with a lot of the work that you do is you take people to operate in a state of conscious, deliberate intentionality. There's no sleepwalking through life. You're getting them to operate very consciously, very purposefully. There's no autopilot mode. There's no sleepwalking through their days.
So
It's about choices, and you are in control of the choices that you make aligns to the life that you want to design as the architect of your own destiny. Is that am I on the right pathway?
you're saying so many great words that I don't have in my vocabulary, but you're right. Yes. I'm from Denmark, so I don't have that fine good glossaries, in my vocabulary.
No, but it's brilliant. And my next question for you is: what if you don't? So people might go away from here going, right, I really buy into what Mike's saying. I need to get mastery of self in order to then be great at being able to grow and scale my business. But then people go and get busy off the back of listening to this podcast, Mike, and they slip back into their old ways and habits. What if you don't get mastery over yourself? You talk about pain. What's the consequences of not really taking on the board the message from today and failing to really master your pathway of mastering self?
Yeah, and that's also relative. It all comes down to belief systems. So in the introduction of my book, I wrote something. I think I can draw a parallel there. Dedication. I wrote to my daughter, who I want to grow up with a pure heart, strong mind, and unwavering lust to live life to the fullest. See, so if you want to live life to the fullest, you got to be ready to pay the price. And that is not doing what everyone else is doing. That is not accepting the way things are at all the times. So, I believe you, especially when you work with me, my online programs, they are not as hard as I am one-on-one. But if you want to really live life to the fullest, you need to be able to pay the price and live it. Life is suffering. Like you have to, success is not a comfortable procedure. It's not supposed to be a comfortable procedure. It's a very difficult procedure. So you gotta become best friends with uncomfortable situations. And I love the book Winning by Michael Jordan's mindset coach, and he's also been writing another book. I forgot. I got blacked out on his name, but he says the language of winning. When I ask people, what is the language of winning? Tell me winning in one word? He says to people. So, and people come with all kinds of answers, and they maybe say winning is awesome, winning is great, winning makes me happy, and he says, well, if your answers are this, and that, you fit right in with the average, but you want to hear the answers the greats are giving me. Here it comes. It's so amazing. The greats, they say, the language of winning is undeniable, unforgivable, nasty, tough. It's a dirty place to live. And, Kobe Bryant, he said, it's everything. And those are the ones I look at. So my coaching is not for everyone. I believe my coaching is for those who really want more out of life. And that takes a huge commitment, because the system in the world we live in today, the capitalistic system, is built for us to be comfortable. It's built for us to be comfortable. It's quite comfortable. But, above that system is not that comfortable. And that's what I want to try to teach people, to go above that system. And they just got to get ready, It's not going to be, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
And that leads beautifully into me, like you tee me up. And the great thing about the life of business leaders, we don't do any prep. We literally agree a title and then we just go at it raw, natural, and just the conversation flows. But what you have teed me up nicely with there is your new book that's literally hot off the press and has come out, I think it's this week, is all about being above average, which plays right into what you're talking about there. So share a bit with us about above average and why you wrote that book, and what people will get if they kind of read that.
Yeah, thanks, Royston, and thank you for all the great questions. It's really it's a pleasure to be in your podcast. Yeah, so the above average, the crazy story here is that I was not supposed to write a book, and suddenly my marketing team they call me up and say, Mike, can you do an ebook, like a lead magnet? I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And my daughter was just being born, and I was busy in the morning, busy in the night, busy all the time. And I sat down and I wanted to write something, and suddenly I started to write. And before I looked around, there was a week gone. I've been writing 25,000 words. And I said, that's not a lead magnet. You don't give people a 25,000 words lead magnet. And, and I just kept writing. And what happened was within 1.5 months, the first draft of the book was done, 47,000 words. And why did I write it? Well, working with so many individuals, working with so many people who, they think they want it. They think they want, yes, I want to be a millionaire. Yes, I want to have a beautiful body. Yes, I want to be the best father. Yes, but they don't really want it. And seeing all these tendencies, I felt obligated to write a book about, I'll tell you the difference from an average mind and an above average mind. So the book gives you the recipe of an average mind and an above average mind. It also tells you about the power of belief, and it goes into how we are programmed to think, be, and act who we are. And everything we do in life is just something we think because you believe who you are. So the book is about the power of belief and the commitment. And then it's a roadmap. It's not a self-help book. It's a call to action. So, I give you all this information, how you reprogram your mind. I give you all this information, how you step up your game. I give you all these old, philosophers, that what they said and what the Bible said. I connect it all and said, here is the evidence. And then I end the book in the part 4, which is an above average method, which is a 20-step. I could have done like Stephen Covey, 7 steps, but that wouldn't help anyone. It's not 7 steps. It's a lot of fucking steps. Sorry, my French. And so it's a 4-part book where the first part is called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. This is how it works. This is why you think, and this is why you react. Get that under control. The next thing is personal power, and I'll move into what is the characteristic of an above average mind and an average mind. And there's nothing bad in being an average mind. It's just if you take 100 people into a room, the majority of those people, the attitude, belief systems, that's average. So that's just average. So there's nothing bad with it. And, the beautiful thing here, Royston, is we are all born as a clean sheet of paper. Like none of us is born above average. None of us is born below average. We are just geniuses from the beginning. The rest is something we are taught. And when I figured that, I was like, God, I need to tell the world that. And that's what the book is about. You can reprogram your mind, and you can change your belief systems with this book, and you can get, goal setting systems and all that. That doesn't really matter. A goal setting system doesn't really matter, because if your belief system is still is too expensive to order food and you're quite rich, then the goal setting system won't fucking work.
Yeah. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Do you think you've got mastery over self?
Oof.
Where are you on your journey to mastery?
I think I will always be on that path. It's an everyday thing, because we are habitual creatures, right? We are emotional beings, and all these things can really mess with you. So I am not a master of it, but I'm mastering it. I will rather say that I'm working on mastering it. I don't believe to become a real master of yourself, like you master it. I think you need to be a monk. You need to be a monk, because yourself wants to go in every direction all the time. But you can build in some routines. You can build in some exercises. How many people is being told to go to the gym? Oh, you need to train 4 times a week, then you will live longer. But none of us is being told to go into the mental gym, and that's a big mistake. I can tell you, Royston, it's so easy to go to the gym 4 times a week. What's not easy is the 23 hours where you have to control what you eat. That's the hard part. And the same goes with mastering yourself. So no, I don't believe I am a master of myself, but I'm definitely a good mastering every single day.
No, the reason I asked that question is because I think for you and I, who spend our lives helping people to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, and in my case, helping them grow great businesses, in terms of the strategies, being a practitioner of your own work, I think, is one of the highest callings that you can have. The metaphor I use is it's like the decorator who spends 7 days a week decorating other people's houses, but you go to their house and it's shit. It looks horrible because they never decorate their own house. And I just think it leads me on to a key word, which I'm really intrigued in your answer to, that if you manage to get, what part does authenticity play on your journey to mastering self? And where does authenticity fit within this?
Everything. If I don't practice what I preach, you can fool people at a certain level, but there's people you cannot fool. There's people you cannot fool because they are mastering themselves so well that if you want to offer them anything to the plate, you got to master yourself too. So game recognizes game. So authenticity means everything to me. And I'm committed. And this is when I say committed, Royston, that means you can't freaking break me. I am so committed to work on figuring out who is it that I want to be and be that person in every single second of my being. So some of it will be programmed into automatic processes, luckily. Otherwise, I would be stressful thinking about what I should eat all the time or what move I should make. But my authenticity in this is also important, because if I tell people that I am a hero, people won't buy it from me, because I'm far from a hero. I'm exactly like you. I just make conscious choices on trying to do it better every single day. And that really is a product of trust when I do that.
Yeah. And the reason I share that is because I just think I talk a lot about your power of your personal shadow and your kind of personal brand. And I think more than ever, what people are looking for is they're looking for connection with authentic businesses, authentic individuals. And I can see a direct correlation between the work and what you do and that journey of mastering yourself. And if you manage to achieve that, then you will be who you are every single day, because you're being authentically who you are. And trying to be somebody you're not is incredibly difficult and requires a massive amount of emotional energy to try and fake it every single day. So I really connect and buy into your title for today's session around why mastering yourself is good business.
Yeah, it's so cool that you say that, Royston, because who I am is something I just believe in. Because I figured this out. I experienced an ego death. That's where you wake up in a new world and you're like, whoa, what is this? And I figured, something I learned there was, I am is exactly just that. Whether or not you say I am a business owner, I am a thief, I am poor, I am ugly, I am beautiful, I'm the best. Whatever you put after I am and you believe in that, that's who you're going to be. So what I'm really trying to is to create. So with my clients, we are creators, constant creators, because the world is in a constant creation. Again, mind to matter. Back to a little bit more metaphysical theories. Whatever I think and believe, my hands will create. So every morning I have just taken a decision about what am I committed to create today. Okay, I'm committed to create the best father. I am committed to create the owner of $1 billion coaching business. I'm not there yet, maybe on the paper, but I'm committed to create it. And that's the decisions we need to take, because the decisions is the godfather to all actions. But again, when you wake up and you say, well, I'm the type who, well, who told you that? Did you decide it? Or you just believe it? So if that's not beneficial for you, maybe you should wake up and say, well, I'm the type who doesn't give a fuck about that. And that's what I mean. We need to wake up every single day and try to create. And we can recreate ourselves every single day. And that's my next. I'm writing another book, and the title will be Forget Yesterday, which talks a lot into that. Let your old skin go and just create the new one in the next moment.
Yeah. Creator of your own destiny. So in summarizing, I think what I'm going away with from today is with a couple of key questions in terms of how I've interpreted. My first question is, who and what do I want to be? Am I really clear in terms of who and what I want to be and who and what I want to become? And then the underlying question that sits behind that is, once I've got that clarity in my mind, am I really committed to doing the work and putting in the hard yards and getting in the arena of life to really do what it takes? And that's the single word that I'm really going away with is commitment. You've said that a number of times today. It's about commitment. It's about doing whatever it takes. It's about Nike. It's about just doing it. And that's the differentiating factor that will differentiate you from so many other people out there who talk a good game, who might have that picture of what they want to be, but they haven't got the discipline, they haven't got the commitment, and they haven't got the resilience to do what it takes to turn that into reality.
That's so well put, and I'm a firm believer, and I promise you that commitment that is the biggest thing a human being can have, a commitment, and how to make that commitment. Many people don't know the way for that yet, and sometimes we are forced into a commitment, but those commitments can stress us. So it's much better to choose our own commitments and take a little pain every single day from that commitment instead of waiting for that big slap you might get. So yeah,
I love it. Love it. I've got one final question, which I'll ask you in a moment. But where can people get hold of Above Average? Is it on Amazon? Where can they get it if they go, right, I really want to read Mike's book? It sounds fantastic. Where can they get it?
It's available on all Amazon platforms, I think in 20 countries. I also do have a website which is called aboveaverage.method.com, but it leads you into Amazon again. But there you can read more about the book and so on. And when you get the book, we will also give you a free workbook, which is a workbook with all the templates for the goal setting systems, the limiting beliefs, mind shift techniques, and so on, that talks in the 20 steps of the book. So you can download that for free. So on Amazon and probably also on some UK online bookstores. It should be out there everywhere.
And Mike, we'll do a deal in 10 days' time when I see you in Spain. I'll bring a copy of Built to Go and Rise for you, and I'll swap it for a copy of Above Average. Oh. We'll do a book trade together. I do have one final question for you. My final question is this, and I'd love to get you back onto the Life of a Business Leader, because I'd love to do a deep dive. Perhaps we could do a deep dive into Above Average and really kind of go deep on that and really share some of the techniques. So maybe at some point in the future could do that, because I think there'd be real value in that. My final question for you is this. If there was one final piece of advice that you wanted to leave people thinking about, what would it be?
That would be to decide who you want to be in an area that is crucial for you right now. So people know that themselves. Maybe there's an area that doesn't work well, or there's an area where they want to accelerate. And then you ask yourself this question over and over and over again. Who would I need to be whatever it is? Who would I need to be whatever it is? And ask yourself that question, and you'll see the magic of your mind just knowing the answers. Because I believe, Royston, the quality of our businesses, the quality of our family, the quality of our lives is highly determined on the quality questions you ask them.
Love it. Absolutely stunning. We could carry on and talk for hours, I know, because I think we connect and we talk a similar language. But I think we should stop there. I think you've given so much value today. Can people get you on LinkedIn and social channels as well if they want to follow you? Which channels are you really big on, LinkedIn or Instagram? Which are your preferences?
Yeah, just absolutely. LinkedIn right now, I'm the biggest one there. I started an Instagram just to try to give the author brand a little bit more sexy look, so we don't think that all our authors, we are so boring to look at. So my Instagram is more a flash channel. Then I have a YouTube channel. It's actually quite cool. On my YouTube, listen really quick, on my YouTube channel, I decided to document every single day since 3 months back. And I didn't know what's going to happen with the book, but I said to my YouTubers, I said, I am going to be an international bestseller. So actually, I have my journey covered. So if you want to see how messed up my life is and how normal I am compared to everyone, you can follow me on YouTube as well.
Love it. Beautiful. Listen, Mike, thank you so much for coming on today. I know our listeners will have got phenomenal value from that. And I know certainly we'll connect and do more together in the future. So let's just add more value and throw the boomerang firmly out there. So from the Life of a Business Leader, episode 9 from Mike and I, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode of the Life of a Business Leader. Bye for now.
Take care, guys.